At 9:32 p.m. on the coldest night of the year, Ellis March sat in his taxi watching a blizzard erase New York City one block at a time. Most drivers had gone home. The streets were empty. The city had surrendered to the storm. Ellis was about to do the same when he saw her, a woman standing alone outside a closed pharmacy, holding a small child bundled against her chest, no coat, no shelter, just standing there in the snow like she'd run out of places to run. He almost didn't stop, but something in the way she stood, frozen, defeated, like the world had finally caught up with her, made him pull over. She climbed into his taxi with a secret so heavy it had been crushing her for 3 years. And by the time the storm cleared, Ellis March would understand that sometimes saving someone else is the only way to save yourself.
The blizzard hit New York at 8 p.m. without warning. 1 minute, light snow. The next, a complete whiteout that shut down half the subway lines and sent people scrambling for shelter. Ellis March had been driving for 13 hours straight. He'd planned to go home at 7, but the surge pricing during the storm was too good to pass up, and besides, his empty apartment wasn't waiting for him with anything except silence and regret. By 9:30, even the surge pricing wasn't worth it anymore. The roads were becoming impassable. Cars were sliding. Buses had stopped running. Ellis was heading back to Queens when he saw her. A woman standing outside a shuttered pharmacy, holding something wrapped in blankets pressed against her chest. No coat, just a thin sweater and jeans that were already soaked through. She wasn't trying to flag down a taxi. She was just standing there, like she'd given up. Ellis pulled over, unlocked the doors, and rolled down the window. "Ma'am, you need help?" The woman turned, and Ellis saw her face, maybe early 30s with dark circles under her eyes and an expression of pure exhaustion that went bone deep. Her voice was hoarse. "I don't have any money for a taxi." "Get in anyway. You're going to freeze to death out here." She hesitated, clutching the bundle tighter to her chest. That's when Ellis realized what she was holding. A baby. "Please," Ellis said, his voice gentler, "at least get the baby warm." That broke through her resistance. She yanked open the back door and climbed in, bringing a gust of snow and cold air with her. Ellis immediately cranked up the heat. The woman sat in the back seat, shivering violently, the bundle pressed against her chest. She'd wrapped the baby in what looked like 3 blankets and her own scarf, but she herself was soaking wet and turning blue. Ellis grabbed the emergency blanket he kept in the front seat and passed it back. "Put this around yourself. The baby can't stay warm if you're freezing." She took it with trembling hands and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Thank you," she whispered. Ellis watched her in the mirror. Mid-30s maybe, dark hair plastered to her head, no wedding ring, no purse, no bag. Just her and the baby. "What's your name?" Ellis asked. "Sarah." "I'm Ellis. How old's the baby?" Sarah looked down at the bundle, and something in her expression shifted. Love mixed with terror. 3 months. Her name is Emma." "And where were you trying to go, Sarah?" Sarah's face crumpled slightly. I don't know. I was just walking." "In a blizzard? With a baby?" Sarah didn't answer. She just stared out the window at the wall of white. Ellis made a decision. "Okay, well, you can't go back out there. I'm taking you somewhere safe." Sarah's head snapped toward him. "No, no hospitals, no shelters, please." The panic in her voice was so raw that Ellis held up his hands. Okay, no hospitals. But you need to get warm and dry, and that baby needs to eat. So, we're going to figure something out." He started driving slowly through the storm, not toward anywhere in particular, just away from the cold. The first hint of truth. They'd been driving for 10 minutes when Sarah spoke again, her voice so quiet Ellis almost missed it. "I left him today." Ellis glanced in the mirror. "Who?" "My husband." Her voice was flat, emotionless. "I took Emma, and I left." Ellis kept his eyes on the nearly invisible road. "Did he hurt you?" Sarah was silent for a long moment. Then, "Not the way you're thinking." Ellis frowned. "What does that mean?" Sarah looked down at Emma, who was sleeping peacefully, despite everything. "He never hit me, never yelled. He's actually a good man. Successful, respected. Everyone loves him." Her voice cracked. "But 3 months ago, when Emma was born, he looked at her and said, 'She's not mine.'" Ellis' hands tightened on the wheel. "He demanded a paternity test, and when it came back proving she was his, he said the test must be wrong, that I must have faked it somehow." Sarah's tears started falling. "He looks at our daughter like she's a stranger, like she's something I tricked him with, and I can't raise her in a house where her own father doesn't believe she's his."
Ellis pulled into a 24-hour diner that was somehow still open despite the storm. The parking lot was empty, except for one employee's car. "Come on," Ellis said, "let's get you both warm and fed." Sarah followed him inside like a ghost, clutching Emma to her chest. The lone waitress, a woman in her 50s named Rosa, took one look at them and immediately brought hot coffee and a blanket. Ellis ordered soup, sandwiches, and hot chocolate. Sarah sat in the booth, staring at nothing, gently rocking Emma. "Sarah," Ellis said carefully, "why does your husband think Emma isn't his?" Sarah looked up, her eyes hollow. "Because she doesn't look like him. She has dark hair and dark eyes. Both of us are blonde with blue eyes." Ellis frowned. Genetics is complicated. Recessive genes—" "I know," Sarah interrupted. "I've tried to explain it. I've shown him articles, scientific studies, the DNA test results. Nothing matters. He's convinced I had an affair." Her voice broke completely. "And the worst part? I never did. I've never even looked at another man. I loved him. I was faithful. But he's decided his own narrative, and nothing I say can change it." Ellis felt anger burning in his chest. "So you left?" "I had to. I couldn't watch him look at Emma like she was a mistake, like she was proof of something I never did." She wiped her eyes. "I packed one bag. I left my phone so he couldn't track me. I went to my sister's place, but she wasn't home. I tried a friend, but she'd moved. I had nowhere to go, so I just walked." Ellis sat back in the booth, his own coffee untouched. "I was married once," he said quietly. Sarah looked up. "We had a son, Daniel. He died in a car accident when he was 7. Sarah's expression shifted to sympathy. "I'm so sorry." Ellis nodded. "After he died, my wife and we couldn't survive it. The grief was too big, and I wasn't there for her. I was always working, always hiding, always running." He met Sarah's eyes. "But you know what? Your husband is failing you. And he's failing Emma. Not because of genetics or doubt or anything rational. He's failing because he's choosing to." Sarah started crying harder. "I don't know what to do. I have no money, no job, no place to go. I can't even afford to pay you for this ride." Ellis leaned forward. "I'm not worried about the fare, Sarah. I'm worried about you and that baby surviving the night." Sarah's eyes went wide. "Oh God, my phone." "What about it?" I left it at home so he couldn't track me. But all my contacts, all my accounts, everything, it's on that phone." She looked panicked. "I have no way to access my bank account, no way to call anyone. I don't even remember phone numbers anymore. I just had them saved." She was spiraling now. "I'm so stupid. I didn't think. I just ran. I didn't plan anything. I just took Emma and I ran." Ellis reached across the table and took her hand. "Sarah, look at me. You're not stupid. You're a mother protecting her child. That's not stupid. That's brave." She shook her head. "I don't feel brave. I feel like I'm drowning." The waitress, Rosa, approached the table with a gentle expression. "I couldn't help overhearing, and I don't mean to intrude, but my daughter runs a women's shelter 2 blocks from here. It's small, but it's safe. They take in mothers with babies, no questions asked." Sarah looked up at her, hope and fear mixing in her expression. I don't know." Rosa smiled gently. "You don't have to decide right now, but I'm calling her anyway, just so you have the option."
20 minutes later, Rosa's daughter Maria arrived, a woman in her late 20s with kind eyes and practical energy. She sat down at the booth and spoke directly to Sarah. "My mom told me your situation. I run Safe Haven House. We have 6 beds, all full right now, but I can make space. We provide temporary housing, legal aid referrals, childcare support, and job placement assistance." Sarah was listening, but looked terrified. "For how long?" "As long as you need. Some women stay 2 weeks, some stay 6 months. There's no time limit." Sarah looked down at Emma. What would I have to do?" "Show up, take care of your baby, start rebuilding. That's it." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." Maria smiled. "Because someone helped me once, and now I help others." Ellis had been quiet, listening, but now he spoke, his voice rough. "Sarah, can I tell you something?" She looked at him. "When Danny died, my wife Claire didn't just lose our son. She lost me too, because I disappeared into work, into guilt, into anything that meant I didn't have to feel." His voice cracked. "And when she finally left, I told myself it was because I wasn't enough. But the truth is, I never gave her a chance to help me. I never let her in." He looked at Sarah with fierce intensity. "Your husband is doing the same thing. He's so trapped in his own fear and doubt that he can't see what's right in front of him. A wife who loves him and a daughter who's his." Ellis's eyes were wet now. "But here's the difference. Claire tried to reach me, and I pushed her away. You tried to reach him, and he pushed you away. So you did the right thing. You saved yourself and Emma." Sarah was sobbing. "I'm so scared." "I know, but you're not alone anymore." The diner door flew open. A man burst in, covered in snow, eyes wild, scanning the room until they landed on Sarah. "Sarah!" Sarah's face went white. "Michael!" Michael, tall, blonde, in an expensive coat, rushed toward their booth. His expression was frantic. "Thank God! I've been driving around for hours looking for you. The neighbors saw you walking. Sarah, what are you doing? You can't just take Emma and disappear." Sarah shrank back in the booth, clutching Emma tighter. Ellis stood up, placing himself between Michael and Sarah. "She's safe. That's what matters." Michael looked at Ellis like he was noticing him for the first time. "Who the hell are you?" "The person who found her and your daughter in a blizzard because she'd rather freeze to death than go home to you." Michael's face flushed. "This is between me and my wife. Your wife who you've been accusing of infidelity for 3 months?" Ellis's voice was hard. "Your daughter who you refuse to accept?" Michael's expression flickered. Guilt, anger, defensiveness, all at once. "You don't understand. I understand enough. I understand you drove your family out into a storm." Sarah's voice came from behind Ellis, quiet but firm. "Michael, I need you to leave." Michael looked past Ellis to Sarah, and his expression crumpled. "Sarah, please, we can work this out. Just come home. Let's talk about this."
We've been talking for 3 months. You don't believe me. You don't believe Emma is yours. And I can't live like that anymore." Michael's voice broke. "I'm scared, Sarah. I'm scared she's not mine, and I'm scared she is mine, and I'm not good enough. I'm scared of everything." The honesty stopped everyone. Sarah stood up slowly, still holding Emma. "Then go to therapy, Michael. Figure out your fear. But I'm not coming home until you can look at our daughter and see her, really see her." Michael stood there, snow melting off his coat, looking lost. "Where will you go?" Maria stepped forward. "Somewhere safe. And when you're ready to be the father and husband they deserve, you'll know where to find them." Michael looked at Emma, really looked at her for the first time. His face twisted with something that might have been recognition or regret. Then he turned and walked out into the storm. After Michael left, Sarah sat back down, shaking. "I can't believe I just did that." Maria squeezed her hand. "You were incredible." Sarah looked at Ellis. "Thank you for standing up for us." Ellis nodded, his throat tight. "You did the hard part." Sarah looked down at Emma, who was starting to wake up and fuss. "I need to feed her." Rosa immediately showed her to a back room where she could nurse in privacy. Ellis sat alone in the booth, staring at his coffee, feeling like something inside him had shifted. His phone buzzed, a text from Claire. "Still on for coffee tomorrow? I've been thinking about what you said." Ellis stared at the message for a long moment. Then he typed, "Yes, I have a lot more to say. Things I should have said 8 years ago." The storm broke around 3 a.m. By dawn, the city was digging out, plows clearing streets, subways resuming, life returning. Ellis drove Sarah and Emma to Safe Haven House as the sun came up, painting the snow-covered city gold and pink. The shelter was a modest brownstone in Brooklyn with a small sign and a sturdy door. Maria met them outside. "Welcome home to Sarah." Sarah turned to Ellis before going inside. "I don't know how to thank you." Ellis smiled. "You already did. You reminded me that running isn't the same as surviving, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help." Sarah hugged him, carefully, with Emma between them. "You saved our lives tonight." Ellis shook his head. "No, you saved your own life. I just drove." 3 weeks later, Ellis pulled up to Safe Haven House again. Sarah had called him, asked if he'd visit. She met him at the door, and she looked different, stronger, rested, like someone who'd stopped running and started fighting. "Come meet someone," she said. Inside, sitting awkwardly on a couch, was Michael. He stood when Ellis entered, extended his hand. "I owe you an apology and a thank you." Ellis shook his hand cautiously. "For what?" "For being the man I should have been that night. For protecting my family when I couldn't." Michael looked at Sarah, and his expression was raw. "I've been in therapy 3 times a week, individual and couples. I'm dealing with the fear, with the doubt, with all the things I should have dealt with before I hurt the people I love." Sarah spoke quietly. "He's meeting Emma properly tomorrow, supervised, here at the shelter. We're taking it slow." Ellis nodded. "That's good." Michael looked at him. "Sarah told me what you said, about your son, about your wife, about choosing to show up." His voice shook. "I'm trying to show up now, finally." That afternoon, Ellis sat in a coffee shop in Manhattan, watching the door. Claire walked in at exactly 2 p.m. She looked the same, older, but the same. Her hair was shorter. She wore a wedding ring that wasn't the one he'd given her. Ellis stood up as she approached. "Hi." "Hi," Claire said softly. They sat down, and for a moment, neither knew what to say. Finally, Ellis spoke. "I met someone recently, a woman who ran away from her husband in a blizzard because he refused to accept their daughter." Claire listened. And watching her fight for her child, watching her refuse to accept being treated like she was lying, it made me realize something. He took a breath. "I didn't fight for us, Claire. When Danny died, I should have fought for us. Instead, I ran. And I've spent 8 years blaming myself, but really I was just hiding." Claire's eyes were wet.
Ellis, I'm not asking you to come back. I know you have a new life, but I needed you to know. I'm sorry for all of it, for not being there, for not fighting, for letting you go without a fight. Claire reached across the table and took his hand. Thank you for saying that. They sat there for a moment, holding hands, 8 years of grief and regret between them. I'm happy now, Claire said gently. My husband is kind. He loves me. I have a good life. Ellis nodded. I'm glad. But I forgive you, Ellis. I forgave you a long time ago. I just needed to hear that you forgave yourself. Ellis felt something break open in his chest. Not pain, but release. I'm working on it. Claire smiled. Good.
That night, Ellis drove through the city one last time before heading home. He passed the pharmacy where he'd found Sarah, past the diner where everything changed, past Safe Haven House where a mother and daughter were learning to build a new life. And he thought about Danny, about Claire, about Sarah and Emma, about all the ways people break and all the ways they heal. His phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. Emma smiled today, a real smile. Thank you for giving us the chance to see it. Ellis smiled and texted back, thank you for reminding me to stop running. He drove home through streets that no longer felt quite so empty, because sometimes saving someone else is how you learn to save yourself. Some rides end at the curb, others go much further. If this story reminded you that courage means asking for help, that healing takes time, and that showing up matters even when you're scared, subscribe to Taxi Driver Stories for daily journeys of heartbreak, hope, and second chances. New stories every day, because sometimes the ride changes everything.